Hi, I'm Charlie, and this is Munching Around Milwaukee. Munching Around Milwaukee is a podcast where we talk with local chefs, restaurateurs, foodies, and food influencers. So today, my guest is Nick Anton, but this is not Nick. Nick will be on in just a second. I wanted to introduce Chef Austin Vetter, and Austin is the brains behind FreshChef Meal Prep here in Milwaukee, who's also a sponsor of our show and providing us fresh meals. So what I wanted to have Austin do is tell us a little bit about FreshChef Meal Prep and also tell us what we're eating here today. So Austin, thanks for taking the time today.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Beautiful February day where we might get into the 20s today. So that's kind of warm because it was in the single digits yesterday. So
yeah, it's horrible.
Talk about FreshChef Meal Prep, and then we'll talk about what we
got a great spread here. So FreshChef Meal Prep is a meal delivery service here in Milwaukee. We deliver freshly prepared single-serving meals to your house every single week. We have a different menu to choose from every week, so you don't have to eat the same thing over and over.
Right.
And then you just have to order by noon on Thursday, and then you get everything delivered on Monday for the entire week.
Great. Yeah. And so what do we have here today? So we have two different meals here.
So the one here is the chicken bulgogi with grilled chicken thighs, udon noodles, mixed vegetable blend, and then we also have a Korean barbecue sauce to go with it. Okay. And then to the right is our seasonal grain bowl. Every month we have a new grain bowl, and this month is featured with grains, quinoa, barley, farro, sweet potatoes, cranberries, Brussels sprouts, and then you have the option to add protein to it. In this case, it's chicken.
Yum. All right, and then we also have a nice soup here that you are so kind to bring.
Yeah, the soup. So one of our chefs, Chef Letty, she is the soup queen, and she made for this week she made the bacon and potato and corn chowder soup.
Let's see what we got.
It's very good.
Ooh, nice pieces of bacon. Yeah. Ooh, love bacon.
Yeah.
We got bacon, Nick.
and then I brought a guest. Is our pesto. So we biggest thing for us is we love to collaborate with other businesses within Milwaukee. So we collaborate with a farm, which is a 100-acre. They're located about 32nd and Capitol, and they're an indoor urban hydroponic farm. So he grows basil hydroponically, and he sends it all over to me. I process it down, and we sell it in Metro Market, all the outposts, and then more stores coming soon. So it's a very...
Jenna Wasilewski was here a few weeks ago, and she also mentioned 100-acre farm as one of the hydroponic places. Mm-hmm. So, and you were telling me that you got 90 pounds of basil for this?
Yeah, so...
Not for this.
Yeah, for an example, last week we bought about 90 pounds of basil last week, and we processed it down between the walnuts and the Parmesan and olive oil, and it yielded us about 10 cases. So we do about 10 to 15 cases every other week, so about almost 20 to 25 cases a month.
Great.
Ship, yeah.
Well, I want to thank Austin for coming by. I'm going to bring Nick in just a minute. So, Austin, thanks both for coming by.
Really
thanks for
appreciate
sponsoring us. Thanks for a great meal. Give us a minute, and
thank you.
Nick Anton will join us. All right, so wanted to introduce my guest today, Nick Anton. Nick.
Charlie, thank you for having me.
So Nick is a local restaurateur, man about town. He's one of those people that everyone seems to know. I've known Nick pretty much since we've been here in Milwaukee, and he was a longtime owner of La Perla. Owned it predating when we moved here, and sold it pre-pandemic. And he's just involved in a lot of different things. So I want to thank Nick for coming.
Thank you.
So we'll talk about La Perla, because that to me was my favorite Mexican restaurant in town. There's some good ones. La Perla was the best. So you're born and raised here, right?
Born and raised in Milwaukee.
And now you went to Shorewood High School?
Shorewood High School.
So my son went to Shorewood, so I know that. And I remember we were out on a boat on Lake Michigan, celebrating, it's probably my birthday, on a pontoon boat. And you were sitting in the back with one of my old neighbors, and you started talking, and you realized You used to date his sister.
Oh my goodness! Well, thanks for bringing that up on the podcast. But I don't remember that. But thank you for the reminder.
Dave Johnston's.
Oh yeah.
Oh, now you remember. So there's a lot that's just small Milwaukee. This is what we call Milwaukee. Everybody knows everybody. And where did you go to college?
I went to University of Houston.
Oh, that's right. University of Houston, the Cougars.
Yeah, the Cougars, as a matter of fact.
And they're still doing pretty well, and they're a good basketball team.
Yeah.
They're doing very well.
They come and go, but we've had some famous basketball teams as well.
Yeah, Phi Slamma Jamma. That's right. And then Elvin Hayes was like 100 years ago. Talk about your early career, predating, when you're getting out of college, and then how you rolled into eventually getting in the restaurant business.
Actually, my restaurant career started in the late 60s at the Wisconsin State Fair with my sister and my cousins. Our parents bought us a popcorn trailer. And I guess it's not a restaurant, but it was a popcorn trailer.
Sure.
And every summer,
food service.
We would spend 10 days at the Wisconsin State Fair, popping popcorn and cotton candy, snow cones, and we did that every summer. So we learned a little bit about customer service at an early age. I hate to say the 60s because then people will figure out how old I am.
Well, some of us were living in the 60s.
Yes, but from there we got a small Greek food stand at the State Fair, and that was in the 70s. So we advanced to Gyro and shish kebab. So I had been doing that for a little while before.
Yes,
going
please
into the restaurant business.
tell people how to pronounce gyro.
Gyros.
There you go. Not gyros, not gyros.
Thank you for asking that as well.
Thank you. So there's two things I know about Nick to be true. One of them is that are you 100% Greek?
Yes.
100% Greek heritage. So no matter what it is, the Greeks invented it,
Yes.
or they've made it better.
Of course. Well, thank you for stipulating that coming from
And
an Italian.
I'm not kidding.
Coming from an Italian.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Nick says, "Oh, that's pretty good."
We
The Greeks
predate
did
the
it.
Italians as well, but I'm not going to get technical.
See, and you were not happy. The last time I saw you was at a party down here in the Third Ward at an art gallery for our friend Julia Taylor's birthday, and you were kidding, but you're saying I'm not talking to you because you don't have me on your show, because your wife has been on twice. Your lovely wife Joanne, who's an excellent cook. But I said I got the perfect vehicle for you. I'm gonna start this podcast after the first of the year, and I want you to be one of the first guests because this will be perfect. We get to sit around and talk about food, and we don't have to do anything except talk and eat. So
Very good. Well, thank you for not making me cook. My wife is a fabulous chef.
she is. We've been on your boat, and she's brought out a tray about this big of appetizers. I remember going to a Christmas party at your house in a driving snowstorm many years ago. So yes, that's her cooking is legend, and that's one of the reasons she's been on my show twice. So I'm gonna kind of dig in as we get ready to go. So after your popcorn stand and any other jobs that you had relative?
None that I worked one summer at Allen Bradley, which is now Rockwell.
Right.
And an unsuccessful career there. I made it through the summer, but never went back.
What'd you do there?
And decided to stay in school. I worked third shift. I think my father was mad at me, and he wanted me to get a job and learn how the real world is. Mm-hmm. And so I worked third shift in a very high up department, and we assembled electronic fuses from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. And I decided, you know what? That college doesn't sound like a bad idea. And went straight to school. I was a senior in high school when I worked at
and so where did your restaurant, other than the State Fair, where did your restaurant work start?
You know what? It started at La Perla.
Okay.
My wife and I started La Perla. It was a 16 to 18 seat restaurant when it first opened. It was a very small, 130-year-old building, and it slowly grew. Mm-hmm. And at its peak, it seated 450.
Well, you had the building next door.
Yeah, we had the middle building first, the building next door to the south, and then the larger building to the north, all connected at some point.
And then I remember you had an outdoor patio too.
Yeah, two outdoor patios.
I used to work here. It was a Doman company, and they were in the old Milwaukee Magazine building.
Oh, yeah.
And so I would take, in the summer months, we'd go have lunch at La Perla, sitting in the back. And people said, "Oh, I didn't know this was here." I said, "Stick with me."
Yes.
So as I mentioned before, La Perla was definitely our favorite Mexican. I mean, there's a lot of good Mexican
Thank you for
restaurants.
saying that. There's a lot of great Mexican restaurants in Milwaukee.
Cafe Corazon and like.
Yeah, all a little different. Each one's a little different.
A lot of little hole-in-the-wall places.
And different parts of Mexico have different types of food.
Absolutely. But there was just something about the way that the service and everything was put together, the food. Did you have, how did the food come out so much better? Are you going to eat? Or are you?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
How did the food come out so much better? There was always just something that was just a little cut above.
Yeah, we tried to buy the best quality food we could get and locally sourced. We were doing locally sourced before it was so popular. And we always used the best quality chicken, the best quality steak. Mm-hmm. And we didn't charge much more than anyone else, but we felt as though people would remember it and come back. And we were very lucky. We had 25 great years. Very, very fortunate.
25.
Yeah, and we had unbelievable employees that stayed. Many stayed the entire time.
Well, I know that we've been there probably 10 plus years, and the same people would be waiting on us that went from when we first started, and they were nice enough to remember who we were, and it was just I think that added to how nice of a place it was to go to. Good food, good service, nice ambiance. You didn't feel like you were, crushed into a place. You felt like it was nice to be there.
We were very, very lucky to have such incredible employees. And like I said, many stayed the whole 25 years. Some stayed 20, 17, 18. When we finally sold at the end, no one had been there less than 17 years.
Wow.
With all the employees. But without them, we had nothing. They were the whole La Perla.
So what do you think the best sellers were there?
The best sellers, oddly enough, we had one shrimp soup that was very, very
Really?
popular. Yeah, very, very popular. Of course, enchiladas, and we had a super enchilada. It was kind of a food challenge. And if you could eat the whole thing, you'd get it free and a T-shirt and your picture on the wall. We had about 10 people do it out of a few hundred tries. But we didn't lose anybody, so I guess we're very lucky.
Nobody in the ground because of La Perla's enchiladas. Okay. I think my son wanted to try that one time, and I looked at it. He weighs about 120 pounds, and he was, he has definitely eyes bigger than his stomach. I said, no, you can't.
No, it weighed about 3 pounds.
Yeah, so you might eat that.
You had to finish the rice and beans as well. So it wasn't really a fair one, but 10 people did it. So I really can't complain.
Well, there's
a lot of people still brag about it, and I see the T-shirts around every once in a while.
Oh yeah,
I'll see someone wearing it.
And you guys made your own tortilla chips, right?
Yes, we did. Made our own tortillas, and we always found it better using fresh. We end up many times throwing some out at the end of the night because fresh tortillas don't last. Like the ones in the store have preservatives. They last quite a while.
Well, I do remember, as you sit down, the chips and salsa would come, and they were fresh, they were warm, had just a great amount of salt on them, and of course you could eat like 1,000. So that was it was just a great place. And sorry that I don't even know what it is now.
It is Hamburger Mary's. I've heard something else might be going in there, but as of now, I think it is still Hamburger Mary's.
Hamburger Mary's.
It's a chain from Chicago. They
Right.
have about 8 or 9 stores. I think one was in Hawaii, one was in California, and the rest in Illinois.
Wow. Excuse me. It was a good place. We miss it.
Yeah,
So after, well, let's talk about Greek restaurants. And why don't you grab that right there? So Nick was kind enough to bring some Greek olive oil, which he insists is better than Italian olive oil.
and I'd like to explain
Okay,
where
please.
I get that. Many years ago, maybe about 9 years ago, my wife and I watched a special on 60 Minutes about olive oil. And we thought, well, this is wonderful. Maybe they'll talk about Greek olive oil. And they didn't talk about Greek olive oil at all. all they talked about was Italian and Spanish olive oil. And what they were talking about was how all Italian and all Spanish olive oil have additives. And not one that they tested did not. And that's why, and we were wondering, well, why don't they talk about Greek olive oil? And ultimately it's because Greece doesn't add any additives. The Greek olive oil is one of the things in Greece that they take very seriously. And they don't allow it. They watch it very carefully. And if you were to get caught, you'd be in a lot of trouble in Greece. So Greek olive oil is as close to extra virgin olive oil that you can get.
So they have the same kind of government oversight of olive oil that has to be processed one way, and they get a stamp, and it's
right.
Okay.
Correct. And they're checked. They check them very. They take it very seriously.
Sure. And one thing, I don't know if it's just a Midwest thing, but Cermak,
Yes.
which is a grocery store right there.
Yes.
That started in a Greek neighborhood in Chicago, right?
Chicago, yeah, very good. So they have a nice selection of Greek cheese, feta cheese, cassetti cheese, and another cheese that we use on spaghetti, which we invented too, by the way, called Graviera, and they'll grind it for you. So it's a wonderful store.
It just never fails. So, what to your mind are the best Greek restaurants in town?
The best Greek restaurants in town, I believe, and I've been to most of them, because many times Greek food is associated with gyros and hamburgers and fries,
Right.
late night food, and it's not. It's really more sophisticated than that. But the two that in Milwaukee that I like are Apollo Cafe and Ouzo Cafe. I think they're the best, the freshest, and the best ingredients in Milwaukee.
Now, Apollo is on the south side?
No, Apollo is on the east side on Brady Street, and
Okay.
Ouzo Cafe is on Milwaukee Street downtown.
Right, 700 block or something.
Yeah, between Wells and Mason,
Right.
and very, very good restaurants.
Okay. Yeah, they're more smaller, independent,
Correct.
kind of thing you'd see in like Greek Town or instead of the larger. Well, we do have a couple of larger Greek restaurants in town.
We do. Well, when you say Greek restaurants, you mean Greek-owned restaurants like the big diners, or do you mean like with Greek food, actual Greek food?
Well, now you're stretching my
Well, only because I can only think of one other
obli.
Greek food, restaurant, and that's a little more modern.
Right.
Little,
So it's got some twists to
some
it.
twists to it.
It's Greek-ish.
It's Greekish, exactly.
So
And beautiful place, beautiful restaurant, but it's a little modern.
and and when you're in Chicago, is Greek Town a must?
A must. It's a must, of course.
Yeah, we've.
Have you been?
Oh yeah, many times. We ended up. We used to go to Chicago with the friends of ours from Cincinnati. We'd go down on the train. They'd drive up. Used to meet every year, and we ended up going to the same restaurant in Greektown 2 years in a row because we couldn't remember we had gone the year before. And we walk in, we sit down, and we go, "Oh, we've been here
We
before."
were here. Which one was it? Do you remember?
I don't remember. It's probably been 10 or 6 years.
It's very close to the train station, too,
Yes.
which is nice.
Yeah, so that's one of the reasons that because we don't drive when we're there, we take the Uber everywhere.
Right.
Yeah, there's just a lot of interesting. I have not been to the Apollo Cafe. I'll have to do that.
Yeah,
Now that I'm
please.
thinking it's on Brady Street, I'll have to remember that.
Please try it.
So, I mean, part of why I wanted to do this podcast was to shine a light on smaller businesses, different places, different ethnicities, and you being here talking about both. The Greeks do everything better, invented everything, but talking about.
Do I really say that all the time? Sure.
It's an aside to almost everything, but yes, you're not out front about it. Oh, the Greeks are the best. It's like,
No.
like you just said about spaghetti, and we invented that, by the way. And it was just kind of an aside.
I can't help it.
Yeah, but to talk about the Apollo Cafe, I've never been there. I've seen it. I know now that you say it, I know exactly where it is, and it makes me want to go there and try it. So I'm hopeful that
glad.
this is part of what comes out of this podcast, a little more information on some of the the different ethnicities, the different restaurant groups. Next week, Chef Ramses from Brisa is coming. Now you know Chef Ramses, correct?
Yes, very very nice guy. Very, a really talented chef.
Yeah, he's been very good to us here in our building, here at Domus, and he was very gracious. He's going to bring something from his restaurant, so
wonderful.
I've eaten just about everything on the menu. So
What type of food?
It's Mediterranean. He's got food from Spain, from France, from Italy. Got some American. He's got that big pizza oven in the window that they use, and they make a steak sandwich that is with caramelized onions and so
Wonderful.
good. Yeah, so it's mostly broadly Mediterranean. I don't know if there's any Greek in there.
I had visited his restaurant in the Crossroads on Farwell and Brady,
Right.
and that's where I met him. And he had a wonderful, I want to say rib steak dinner that was wonderful. The underbelly kind of, and it was just fabulous. And I remember that.
Oh, you enjoy it.
Wow.
We want this place to be successful because it's nice to have a restaurant right next door.
It's right on the water. It's a beautiful
Yes.
location.
Great. So what's next for you and Joanne?
Well, she has made me promise no more restaurants, but I can't say I'm going to keep that promise because I always have my eyes open.
Right.
I just 7 days a week is what a restaurant is. Even
Right.
if you close a day
It's a
or
young
two,
man's game.
It's a young man's game.
Yeah.
And I lie about my age so much that I can't remember my actual
42,
age.
right?
42. But it is a young person's business.
Absolutely.
That's
and
why Austin is so good at what he does.
he's the go-getter.
Yeah.
I mean, I had lunch with him one time, and he was just throwing out ideas like this, and I was like, Austin, just
Nice to see that energy.
absolutely. He's a good guy. I appreciate him. And you were just recently in Greece,
Just got back. We were there right before Christmas.
and then plans to go back.
Many. I hope we want to go back soon.
So I heard last time we were at a party or something that you were thinking about possibly moving there.
Moving on a part-time basis. I don't know if we could ever stay there full-time, but spending more time there, we'd like to,
Oh, good.
if we can. Yeah. But there's some great things to do. We found some nice little new spots.
It's a great place. I mean, how many islands are there?
Oh, I don't know
4,000?
exactly how many. About 4,000 to 5,000.
Yeah, it's amazing. If you haven't been to Greece,
Not all
you should check it
inhabitable,
out.
but we have thousands of islands.
So I want to thank Nick for coming by.
Thank you, Charlie.
Absolutely. The great spread from Austin from FreshChef Meal Prep. We'll have this QR code for you if you're in the Milwaukee area, like to take advantage of it. So thanks to Austin for coming by. Thanks to Nick, as always.
Thank you,
Great
Charlie.
to see you.
Thank you very much.
It says the Greeks always do it better, so we're used to that. So thanks for supporting Munching Around Milwaukee. It's a podcast where we try to talk about food, and it's, as you can see, it's a Seinfeld episode where we're just, two guys sitting around eating and talking. So thanks so much. We'll see you next time.